Hello YouTube! Today we're going to be doing a red flags tier list. Alright, so let's just get started. I have 7 categories. So we're going to have the actually I like this, which is the opposite of a red flag. It's not really something that I would count as one. We have the could be good. This is a more depends on the situation, but I haven't experienced it, so it could be good. We have a neutral, I respect your boundaries, where I don't really have an opinion on it, or if I do, I don't really mind what take you have on it. Depends on the situation, like the name implies, is very situational, so I'd say that's the kind of the gray area. And not the worst, usually would avoid. This is like this is like hedging more towards the red flag territory. Which if you don't have like other things to compensate for it, then it would probably be a turn off or something bad. And bad is just like, okay, this is pretty bad. And it's gonna be hard to work around it unless you have like shown initiative to change. And then the instant deal breaker is like, no matter what it is, okay, if you have that, you're out. Alright, let's get started. You have quite the hefty number of tiles. I'm not going to go through all of them because some of them I've never experienced before, or I just don't have an opinion on it, or don't know what it is exactly, so yeah. Alright, different political alignment. I do think that having a different political alignment is fine as long as you're like, you know, responsible. If you're responsible with like what you do and stuff, then that should be fine. I'm gonna put on this on depends on the situation though, because some people are overly political, and that could make for like a bad showing. So I am going to put also invested in politics on depends on the situation. So it depends on like how deep you are into it and how you portray that to other people. So practices of religion you are not involved with. Actually, I don't mind that. I may not be the most religious person, but as long as you like, you know, you respect other religions too, you don't like go out of your way to convert people or stuff. I think practicing another religion is totally fine. Within reason, of course. Lives with parents. Okay, if you are 30 or 40 and you're still living with your parents, that's probably that's probably pretty bad. But if you're like 18 or 23, housing prices are so expensive. So I don't fault people like especially at the early stage for living with their parents. So I don't think that's an instant deal breaker. If you're 40 or 30, 35 and you're still living with your parents, that might be. Because that shows like you don't have like responsibility, or you haven't try to like work things out like financially, you know, get a job, try to be independent. So that could just show it. But if you're still like 20, early 20s, mid 20s, and like the area you live in is super expensive and it's just hard, I could see that happening. Choose loudly. All right, this one is not the worst. I know it sounds like very trivial compared to living with your parents, but chewing loudly is like a manners and respect thing, at least in my opinion. So if you chew loudly, then and you don't close your mouth, that's just rude, you know? Like proper etiquette and manners are also very important. Uh, orders a fast food option at a specialty restaurant. Okay, I am an avid enjoyer of food. Okay? And if you're not you only order like fast food at the specialty restaurant we go to. Like if we're ordering Asian food, you're ordering like burgers and fries. Or if we go to an Italian restaurant, you're ordering burgers and fries. Okay, that's probably, yeah, I'm gonna put that in. It's not the worst, but I would usually avoid that. Because that shows that you don't A, you're not willing to try things. B, you're just stuck in your comfort zone, or you just don't like food outside of those things, and that's not very cultured, is it? Picky eater, I think this goes with it, but I'm gonna put depends on the situation, only because like you can not like certain things in certain genres, but I don't think it's as bad as only ordering a specific genre. Like I get picky eaters mean like you don't eat or try a lot of things, but it's a little bit of a wider scope than just fast food, if you know what I mean. Plus, fast food's like pretty what can I say? Uh, pretty unhealthy. Inconsistent communication. Okay. It's inconsistent communication is either an instant deal breaker or pretty bad. I'm gonna put it in pretty bad for now. You know what? No, I'm moving it up to an instant deal breaker because I've experienced this a lot where people would just ghost me all the time or they wouldn't talk. And I feel like that isn't like a hallmark of a relationship. If you're trying to get to know someone and you're just like on and off, like you text someone a whole bunch at like text someone a whole bunch in 1 week and then for 2 weeks you're off, that's kind of like kind of making your relationship rocky because it all hedges on communication at the end of the day. Similar to, I wouldn't say it's similar to love bomb. Maybe it is. It has similarities with love bombing because you're getting super high highs and then low lows. Dismissive of your feelings or opinions. This one, definitely an instant deal breaker. I don't think I could put up with that. Not because it just shows like a lack of respect, if you know what I mean. If you can't like validate or you don't care about how the other person feels, that's just a lack of respect and um honestly very uncaring. Controlling. Okay. Controlling in the sense that I'm gonna put this in the bad tier. Hold on, hear me out. Because if you're controlling, right? If you control like oh, you can only go out this at this certain time. Oh, you can only hang out with these certain friends. We are both independent adults, right? And we're two pairs, right? You're not my parent or you're not my mother. So why are you trying to like control or micromanage every part of my life, right? You have your own life to live and we both like, you know, make each other better. But I don't think that you should be to that extent controlling like every single thing. Um, if it's controlling within like, oh, let's see. Let me think of a good, can't think of a really good example, but this like hedges on instant deal breaker because, um, yeah, that would be pretty bad. Lack of accountability. Lack of accountability is an instant deal breaker. You're just irresponsible. You haven't matured enough yet. So, yeah. Unwillingness to address or resolve conflicts. Okay, that's also an instant deal breaker, but it can be hard to determine at the beginning of a relationship. But the reason why is if you're unwilling to resolve any of your problems, then how are you going to move forward, right? There's no growth there to be done. It's just my way or the highway, and you can't get past that. So, passive aggressive, this is bad. I don't like passive aggressive people. My personal preference is gets pretty annoying, but it's also like, oh, okay. I get it that some people kind of have it built into their personality, but if they're willing to grow on it, or like grow and change, I do think it could be not the worst, but if it's all the time, I'm gonna put it as bad. Lack of emotional availability. This is pretty bad. Well, we are getting the heavy hitters. So, lack of emotional availability can be bad because you're just not like not as empathetic, but you're not there for the person. And I feel like that's something you kind of want in a relationship, at least long term. If you don't have that, I'm gonna put this as an instant deal breaker. Excessive jealousy. This is pretty bad because I think a common example of this is like a male having female friends, female having male friends. And if they're like always jealous of like, I don't know, your friends, what you do or stuff, I feel like that could be a bad thing. In moderation and reason, it's okay, but it's pretty bad. Constantly negative. This is another trait I see, especially um especially in the younger generation. I feel like we're just a lot more negative in general. I want to put depends on the situation. It is a bad trait, right? But I do think it's like also something that can be worked out. If not, then it's probably pretty bad. Yeah. Disregards boundaries. Okay, that's just another example of like lack of respect. Anything like disregarding like what the other person says, or it's like a one-way street, is definitely not something I'm looking for, right? If one person is willing to change but the other person is not, you cannot grow as a pair. You are going to be stuck always bending for the other person because they won't change themselves. Doesn't have the same music taste whatsoever. Okay. I respect your boundaries. I think that everyone is entitled to whatever music they like. I think I have more of a problem if you don't like music at all. One uppers. I depends on the situation. I think it depends entirely on like, what you're trying to one up. Are you trying to one up each other to make each other better, a certain skill, or just trying to one up to get like leverage or something? So I do think that's situational. Excessive compliments. How excessive are we talking? I want to put this in neutral because I don't necessarily care. But I'm gonna put this one in depends on the situation because excessively complimenting someone can seem like a plus, but then I feel like the more you compliment someone, and if you're just throwing out a plethora of words, then you know what's gonna happen? They lose meaning, and if they lose meaning, then okay, do you actually mean this compliment, or are you just saying that? Um, there's probably a lot of other cons to that, but I'm gonna put depends on the situation. Never compliments is also something I would avoid. Never. Wow, hmm. Even as friends, you kind of compliment each other. So never complimenting each other, I don't know if that's an instant deal breaker, but I'm actually gonna put this in bad. Because never complimenting someone you are interested romantically just means that you don't find anything you like about them. Or you have your feelings like really secreted and locked away, and that could also be bad. Only compliments physical attributes. It is like a step above never compliments, but it's also still pretty bad because that means you only like them for something they have, like their looks, what they can, yeah, like it says physical attributes. So just like their looks, and you don't really care about their emotional aspect or what they provide outside of being super pretty or super ugly or super muscular or whatever. Constantly late. I'm gonna put this in. I would usually avoid this. Being constantly late is like also it kind of toes the line on that irresponsibility sort of thing. So I'm gonna put that. It would be bad because I am constantly like a person who likes to be on time or prepared or something for an event or something. So constantly like last minute cancels all the time. It's gonna be that's I think a step above constantly late because that means you cancel last minute. So that's pretty bad. Is it the worst thing? Probably not. There's probably worse things out there. So I'm gonna put that maybe a little bit above that. Rude to service staff. Okay, that's a red flag. Right there, if you're rude to people who serve you and who are like, um, who are providing you with sort of a service, I do think that's a red flag due to the fact that you just don't have there's a missing lack of respect. Sorry, got brain fog there. There's a lack of respect to the people who are like taking the time to serve you and all that stuff. Does not have a single close friend. Okay, having a single close friend is normally I would say that's depends on the situation. But as like an introvert, I do understand like the lack of friends. Um, I'm gonna put this in neutral because as an introverted person, it can be hard to find friends. Or if you were homeschooled and depending on your situation, right, you could not interact with like a lot of people or not be super close with them or didn't have access to a pool. So I'm gonna give you the benefit of doubt and say that it's not a red flag. Um, in certain circumstances, it would be because that means people don't like you or there's something wrong with you or it's just hard to be around you. But we're gonna look at the silver lining. Brags about how good of a liar they are. Okay, bragging about how good of a liar you are. That means you lie often. That's pretty bad. Uh, just in general, bringing that up would be not the best thing, right? Um, yeah, I'm gonna put that as bad. To the gym every day. Okay, I don't go to the gym, so I do think that this would be, I actually like this because that means you have actually a responsibility and you take the time out of your day every single day to do something to benefit you, right? It's whether it's exercise or in this case going to the gym. I think that's a good thing. I actually like this. Never goes to the gym. I don't go to the gym, so I don't think I can judge that entirely. Um, I'd say that's neutral. Has a mental disorder, okay. No offense to anybody with a mental disorder, but we're gonna stick with the idea that it's a higher mental disorder, not just a basic anxiety disorder. And in that case, I would be more like caring for you. And I don't think that would be indicative of like a relationship. That would be more like me helping you out. I don't think any of the two parties would um okay, with all these mental disorders, I do think that they both go hand in hand. Like if you have like a mental instability problem where you're not able to think clearly or your judgment's like skewed, you might kill someone crazy like that. That's definitely not something you want to be involved in. But if it's like an anxiety disorder or something, or you have like trouble socializing or stuff, that could be like a bad thing. I wouldn't knock it as an instant deal breaker because it does depend entirely on like how extreme or how severe your mental disorder is. Neurotypical, isn't that just like a normal person? I'm not gonna answer this one because makes plans for the future without consulting your preferences. Uh, are they big plans? That's the thing. This would be bad if they are big plans. Like, are we gonna move together? Are we gonna live together? Or like plans that are pretty like life changing and that involve the two of us. If you don't consider my preferences, that's pretty bad. But if it's just like events or stuff like with good intention, like, oh, I think he'll like the surprise or something, I'm gonna put depends on the situation here. Longest relationship never lasted more than a month. Okay, that's longest relationship. So that means if it's one relationship and it was their first relationship, that could be excused. But if it's multiple, that's would be pretty bad. But I'm gonna put not the worst. Multiple exes in with 1 year. That means you have a commitment issue, and that's if I'm looking for a long term, that's probably not something you want to look at. In the same year. So that's multiple. That's pretty never been in a relationship. I don't think. Okay, hear me out. As like an introverted person, I do see how um this could be hard. Like this is your first relationship. You've been having a hard time making friends, just socializing in general. So I don't think this is inherently a red flag, but you are, like with anyone, taking a risk. I have no history, so you're taking a risk and hoping that it'll turn out good and it won't blow up in your face. So it is a risk, but I'm gonna actually put this, it could be good. Pet puts a lot of labels on themselves. Okay, work-related labels are fine. I think that's okay. If it's like, oh, I'm a racist, I'm a sexist, I'm some sort of bad label, okay, that's could be a red flag. That might be you want to stay away from that. Constantly brings up an ex. Okay, the reason why I'm putting this in an instant deal breaker is because if you constantly bring up your ex, that means you're thinking about them often. If you're thinking about them often, then you know what? Then you must have some lingering feelings, lingering thoughts about, oh, what if, what if, what if. So I don't think that's something I want to deal with. Lacks empathy. That's pretty bad. Is it a red flag? Pretty sure, but I'm gonna put this in the bad, sort of right here. It is pretty bad, but I do think it's something that can be learned over time and experience. Um, but if they never change over the course of like years, then that's a red flag. Males with only male friends, I don't care. If you're a male with only male friends or female with only female friends, yeah, and the reason why, I know this sounds kind of, um, I think society just in general agrees upon this. If a male has a lot of female friends, then usually the girlfriend or the significant other gets kind of insecure because like, oh, why are they seeing all these other people? But I don't think it goes cross with the other way around. I don't think they care as much. I'm gonna put this in neutral. But I think ultimately these two actually do depend on the situation. How close you are with the friends, and how they interact with them really plays a big factor into whether this is you're okay with this or not. Uh, References outdated gender roles. I don't really care. Do I though? As long as they're respectful of like the current ones, I'm fine with that, I think. You can find the whole life. Okay, so this kind of goes to like a content creator idea where they put their whole life on social media on their Insta page and stuff. I don't think this is inherently bad, but there are some circumstances where having their whole life on social media, not the best thing. No drama, please. Okay. If they don't want drama and are like, oh, okay, I don't want to have a conflict or it's over, that is bad. Because no matter how secure the relationship, you're bound to have fights, disagreements. And if you just like ignore that and say, oh, I don't want it, I want to just move past it, these problems are gonna kind of build up, and I think you'd get like a lot of resentment and distance like packing between the two of you. So furry, uh okay. Furries, I'm not into the furry world, but I don't think it's for me. I am not like a big furry fan, and just personal preference, I think. Only hobbies included TV, video game companies, etc. That's fine. Is it though? A lack of hobbies is kind of a. If you don't do anything outside of that, I'm gonna put depends on the situation. And hear me out. It really does depend on whether or not these hobbies are like taking up your whole day or you're like glued to it. But I do think that computer TVs and stuff, they have a lot of like depth that you can go to, like video games. You can play a number of video games, puzzle games, exploration games. TV, you can watch a number of shows. So it could be that you like a certain genre and stuff. So I do think that it's less of a red flag than saying having no hobbies or having a hobby only in one other thing. Wonder replies, this is bad. Okay, sorry about that. My throat was dry. Okay, let's get back to it. Okay, where were we? One word replies, yes, that's a bad thing. That means you don't have a lot of like care. Or you don't care that much. And if you don't care that much, then why are we in a relationship, right? You can definitely put more effort than a one word reply. That just shows like a lack of effort. You're like, okay, I don't really want to put in my time or anything. Talk shit behind their friends' backs. Depends on the situation. I do get that some people like to like make a lot of jokes or they're comfortable with their friends' boundaries. So that could be fine, but if they're constantly like talking something negative and it's on like a more personal level, that could be bad. Is the victim in every story they tell? Okay, that's a step further. If they're the victim, then that means they have that mentality. You know they have that mentality. And honestly, the victim mentality isn't really that great. They act like they're better than everyone else. Okay. This also goes, it's not the worst, but I would usually avoid this because that means they have like a kind of hierarchy mindset. So it's something that I want to associate myself with. always feel the need to prove themselves. Okay, I think this is depends on the situation. And that's because like growing up, I have had like these expectations. And when these expectations are put on you from a young age, you kind of get like in this mode where you just want to prove them wrong. You want to prove that you're worth it. Like I constantly feel like the need that I need to prove myself to people or to the world. I don't always need that validation, but I just like don't feel fulfilled if I haven't like proved myself to any social circle. So, rude to parents, that shows a lack of respect. Um, don't do that. If you're rude to your parents, um, okay, within reason, right? So there is like a sort of caveat to this. If you're rude to your parents, but in the past your parents abused you, or your parents just didn't bring you up right, they like hit you or yelled at you a lot, or just never supported you fully, then that wouldn't actually be that bad. Um, within reason. But if they brought you up right, they took care of you, they provided for you and supported you, and you're still rude to them, that could be an instant deal breaker. So that hedges more on depends on the situation, but I'm gonna put at an instant deal breaker for now. Can't. Oh my gosh, I cannot read. Can't text and complete sentences. That's fine. Um, if you can't text and complete sentences, some people that's just some people's like texting style, and I don't think that's like as big as some of these other problems. Attention sponge. Okay, there's two modes to this. Are you an attention sponge for my attention, or are you attention sponge for like a bunch of other people? Like you need that attention. I would usually avoid this though because attention seekers do have an inherent problem. You have to make all the big plans. Depends on the situation. Let's say they're just like irresponsible, but if they go out of their way to do like other small things for you, I don't think it's as bad. But if they never take initiative, that can kind of be like, okay, now you're having a dependence on me. Instead of being two independent halves that like work together to make each other better, it's one half trying to like provide and support a smaller half, if you get what I mean. They want to make all the big plans. I think that's personally, I don't mind it. As long as I have some input. Yeah, as long as I have some input, I don't mind it. Always on their phone. Aren't we all always on our phone? Okay. This is, it depends on the situation. I would normally put this and usually avoid, but because of our generation, we're like glued to the screens. Like we have a screen like glued to our face all the time. And so this modern generation, almost everyone's like that. But as long as you like put away your phone when we're eating or when we're having a conversation, you're willing to do that. Depends. But I would usually avoid that though. Into celebrity gossip or reality TV. I I want to say depends on the situation because inherently this is like borderline parasocial activity, but I'm gonna put I respect your boundaries as long as it doesn't go too overboard. Um, bad hygiene. Okay, I have a with this. Nope, you should take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, like in general, do not be swimming through your own filth. If someone has to clean up after you, that's a red flag all the time. And if you just don't like take care of your body, take care of your like living space, you're literally swimming through your own filth, and I don't like that. I like my room to be like as clean as virtually possible, or just in general, like, you know, like clean up the scuff marks. If you made a mess on the wall and the carpet, don't leave that. That's nasty. Ah, always wants to eat out. How rich are we? Huh? You have a lot of money? I'm broke. Um, no, in all seriousness, always wants to eat out. I would usually avoid that. Um, unless you're like really rich or something. No, we don't got all the funds in the world, right? Likes to go for drinks often. I don't associate myself with drinkers, and I wouldn't say it's like a bad thing, but personal preference, I don't find that attractive. Struggles with keeping a job. Okay. Struggling to keep with a job is, I don't actually know. I'm gonna say depends on the situation. Because you could be going through a time in your life where it's just really hard to find a job. In this job market, it's kind of crazy, right? You don't know when you're gonna get fired. Employment can go up and down, haywire, up and down. So I think in this economy, it depends on the situation. Females who affectionately refer to their friends. I don't care. I think that's more of a neutral territory with how you like call your friends or stuff. I don't think that's swears a lot. Ooh. I think both swearing a lot and is against swearing kind of go hand in hand. Um, but I'd say is against swearing is a more neutral territory, right? As long as you don't impose your rules too strictly on others, I don't think it's too bad. But swearing a lot, like, can you keep a like a dirty word out of your mouth for like 1 second or one sentence? That's okay. We're back. All right, we're having a lot of pauses this episode. Okay, like spicy food? Um, I don't mind that. That's your preference. I think food is definitely a preference for some people. As long as you're not eating like burgers and fries every single day. Dislike spicy food. I don't like spicy food. Or I do, but in moderation, right? I'm not like a huge spicy food person, so I think it could be good to not like spicy food. Like sweets, that's fine. I respect your. I don't eat a ton of sweets, but on occasion. So I think those are both like personal preferences. Fast food is their favorite genre of food. Okay. This is different from only eating fast food, so I'm gonna put depends on the situation. I did say that food is a preference, and I still stand by that, but um it's just not healthy for you. It's probably like the worst genre. Does not have a degree, nor is working toward one. This could be a lack of either motivation or a lack of need. So I'm gonna put depends on the situation. Um, I would put this at not the worst if it was like they were like unemployed or they didn't have anything else going on in their life. But if they do have a job or they do have a passion that they're working on, sometimes a degree is not necessary. Has a lot of debt. Okay, this is something I would avoid. Having a lot of debt is indicative of irresponsible financial decisions. So if I have a lot of debt and it's like college debt that I wasn't able to pay off, that's a little bit more understandable. But if it's like I have a lot of debt and because I gambled a lot, I bought things, materialistic things that I didn't need, that's kind of a hey, my throat's getting never traveled outside of their hometown. Never traveled outside of their hometown. Ooh, how would it? I'm gonna put depends on the situation. Maybe they never like had the access or the funds to get out of their hometown. Um, so I don't think that's inherently bad. But if they chose like actively when they could have moved around or seen new things, that could be bad. But we'll leave it there. Once kids, depends on the situation. I personally don't want kids. It's a huge investment and but I do think that in some regards, people do want to start a family, but personal preference is not. Does not want kids. I respect your boundary. Actually, could be good. I think a lot of my generation does not want kids. Holy crap. Okay, let me rephrase. A lot of our generation doesn't want to um take care of a kid because it's like a huge responsibility, and maybe that gets changed over time and we could decide yay or nay, whatever. But as it stands currently, I think not having kids is a valid um opinion. It needs a lot of personal space. I respect your boundaries. Sometimes you don't always need to sleep in the same room, right? You can sleep in a different room, or you could, if needs a lot of personal space, is I need a whole new apartment aside from you, or we can't live together because I need my own personal space. That's one thing. We'd probably have to work that out. So that would be depending on the situation. But if it's just like a room or like I need like my own like private space to think without you, that's fine. Likes cartoons. I respect your decision. I also like certain cartoons. Hates cartoons. Um, if you're stopping me from watching it, that depends on the situation. But if not, and you just don't want to watch it with me, that's also fine. I respect your boundaries. Talkative online, but silent IRL. Okay, this inherently doesn't sound bad, right? But what are we gonna do in the silence, right? That means that you're hard at like socializing, right? You don't know how to put your thoughts into words. So I'm gonna put this as not the worst thing, but I would usually avoid that. Your friends do not like them. That's a red flag, I think. If you have close friends, I feel like they should like your significant other. Sorry. My throat's like so dry. Yeah. If they don't like your significant other and they look for the best in like what you do and everyone else around you, or they're like looking out for you and they want you to succeed, like those kinds of friends, like your kind of best friends don't like them, that should be a red flag. Extreme involvement with parents. At the end of the day, you have your own life, right? You have to live your own life and separate from your parents. You can't always be attached, right? So I do think this is not the worst thing, but it's definitely goes to living with parents. It definitely has its downsides. It hedges more to bad, I think, but depending on how involved they are. Has an addiction, okay. Has an addiction to video games, has an addiction to, I don't know, watching certain shows, has an addiction to drugs, has an addiction to pornography, or has an addiction to gambling, that's a red flag. Only texts you at night. If you're really busy, I can see how that's a problem. But if, ooh, I lost it. I lost it. Um, where did I put it? No, I'm not. Here. Only text you at night. Okay, I would normally avoid this because, sorry. If you are in a relationship, you kind of want to communicate with your person. So if they can only text you at night and they're not super busy and you see them on the phone all the time, I'd avoid that. Bad at communicating. This is bad because how are you guys gonna get along? Describes their exes as crazy. This is also bad because that I feel like this has like a um has a like a mode where you're like, oh, okay, I made a bad decision. I got loved bombed or something. So there could be excuses made for it, but decision making on that part is a little bit iffy. She did in the past. Listen to me. If they did it once, they can do it again. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, if someone cheated in the past, regardless of the reason, right, they can do it again. It's a choice, not a mistake, right? It's a choice, not an accident. If they cheated on you in the past, they can definitely do it again. Needs to be reassured often. This is like an insecurity thing. I don't think it's the worst thing, but it can get kind of annoying. And it's something I would try to avoid. Disrespects animals, okay. Don't do that. If you are like kicking dogs or something, no, that's a red flag. Trust issues is a little bit bad. Like past experiences could make them like less trustworthy or they have like insecurities and stuff. But if they're not willing to work them out or they can't get past them, it will eventually become like a border or like a gate or a barrier, sorry, where they can't move past it or grow past it. Does not understand pop culture references? That is totally fine. I don't understand them either. Parents track their location. This goes with like a lot of the parents stuff. It goes with controlling parents or like involvement with parents, so I think that's a similar idea. Smokes, not personally for me. I don't um smoking and doing drugs are not like something I'm into and would not like my partner to indulge in because they can be highly addictive and stuff, and it's just not something. Bad at driving, it's okay. We're all bad at something. As long as you try, you know? Excessive thirst for anime, men or women. Okay. This is kind of like your own kind of thing, but it depends on what anime we're talking about, right? And it depends on like how into it you are. You're having like entire collections, body pillows and stuff. Might be taken a little bit too far, but it depends. Overly quirky. I don't think that's a bad thing, unless the quirks are like yeah. Unless the quirks are something negative, like keeping a knife collection or poison collection or a bunch of dead animals or something. Extremely indecisive. I don't like this personally, but I don't think for the general population it's something that everyone thinks about, but I personally don't like it. Um, has a bit of, okay, that's fine. Has a very specific coffee order is perfectly fine. I don't see any problem with that. Quotes TikToks IRL. Oh, that's also fine. It can get annoying, so I would put it in depends on the situation, but in general, it should be fine. Gamer could be good. I do games, and if you do games, maybe you get along. Have something in common. Has a stuffed animal collection. Okay, contrary to popular belief, I actually think that's really cute. Females with masculine hobbies. That's fine. I don't think we should be generalizing hobbies. Um, if you have a certain passion for something, go for it. I don't understand why we have to have a specific gender tailored to certain hobbies within reason, right? We're not going overboard here and saying, oh, yeah, let's just move past that. Anger issues. This is bad. It's not an instant deal breaker if they can, like a lot of things. It's not an instant deal breaker if you can grow past it. If you can move past it and change over time, it's not a problem. But anger issues does show a lack of emotional control and therefore a sort of immaturity, if you know what I mean. Has recent on and off again relationships. Okay, I think this is bad. I don't know if it's an instant deal breaker, but it is pretty bad. That just shows that you have a commitment. There's certain commitment issues. You're very unsure of whether you can trust this person or you want to be with this person or you like multiple people. That's just not something I would like indulge in. Does not like when you are with friends. Within reason. Um, come on. If you if you don't like it when I'm with my friends, yeah, that goes without saying, right? Says they do not care. Uh, if they say it all the time, yes. And they say, "Oh, I don't care about work. I don't care about this. I don't care about that." What do you care about, right? If you have no like if you don't treat anything with like a passion or anything, that could be pretty bad. Refuses to try your hobbies, that's fine. I respect your decision as long as you support them. You don't have to actually try them. No motivation. That's a red flag. if you don't have a motivation to do anything, you're just a couch potato. And that's that's not something I want to indulge in. Won't let you use their phone. You have something to hide. Or you value a lot of privacy. I'm gonna say that's bad because that hinges on the trust issues. Like if during 991, if I have to call someone and you won't let me use your phone because you have something that secretive to hide, that's fine. Um, excuse me, that's not fine. Like obscure music only, that's your preference. I respect your boundaries. Doesn't like music? Okay, that's I would stay away from that. I like music. I'm a huge indulger in like music and I listen to it a lot, so how do you not like music? Like what do you listen to then? Early bird. Oh, that could be good. I actually like people who wake up early. Um, because that means they like, get stuff. They like to start their day earlier stuff. So that's a good thing. Night owl depends on the situation. If you're unhealthily staying up till like 2 a.m. in the morning, that could be bad habits that you need to fix. Chronically online. Ooh, not the worst, but I would avoid that. I personally don't like people who are their whole personality is just online. That could be. I respect your decision. If you are an avid fan of Disney's productions, that could be. Racist comments as a joke. Okay. I would avoid this if they do it really often. Yeah, just in general. Even if they say it's a joke, but they do it often, is it really a joke? Do they actually believe it at the end of the day? Dark humor, that's fine. I respect your adult. Actually, I'm gonna put this up a tier because depending on how dark of the humor it is, um, that could be, something to look out for. Watches porn. Ooh, this is a red flag. I don't like people who indulge in such things, especially if they do it like often. If they're doing it all the time, then yeah. Does not even dress up for a date. That shows like a lack of care. I don't think it's an immediate red flag, but it does show that you don't care that often, or you don't even care to dress up or take the time to prepare for something special. So tries to act cool. That depends on the situation. I don't think it's inherently bad because some people just like to um present themselves like in the best way they can, even if it's not their actual personality. But it depends too. Assumes friendliness very early on. This is an also depends on the situation. Sorry, I keep drinking water because my throat is so dry. Yeah, that depends. It all depends on like how they are. If they're like that with everyone, it could just be that they think they have a higher connection than they do. But it could also be trying to, like the next one is like love bomb, trying to get with you like very quickly or move the relationship at their pace. Love bombing, that's bad. Um, that means they're only there for the short term. I love you very early on. That's also not the worst thing, but would avoid that if it's with malicious intent. Forgets important holidays or anniversaries. I forget things too, but it's a once a year thing, and I would assume that if you actually care, you would like put it on a calendar, try to remind yourself, you know. Calls you daddy or wants to be called daddy. This is like a reverse thing for like females. So it'd be like mommy. Depends on the situation. If it's like overly like sexual, then and like a lot, I could see that being a problem. Using conspiracy theories, I think that's your own. That's your own like hobby, or that's your own opinion. And whether or not I believe it or not hinges on me. But if you believe it, that's fine. Tries to convert your belief. This is bad. It's not an instant deal breaker, I don't think, because it's not as bad as all these other things. But having a person who's constantly trying to pull you over to their side, even after I said, "Oh, okay, I believe in this thing. I respect what you believe in, but I also don't believe in what you believe in." That makes sense. Yeah. Has no filter. Having no filter is bad. It's not the worst thing, but I'm gonna put depends on the situation. Because if they have no filter over like private matters, that's kind of bad. I cannot read this and strongly believes okay. A lot of people believe in this, especially on the more female side. That's fine. It's your own opinion. Throws away leftovers. Don't waste food. Okay. I know that's trivial compared to a lot of these other things, but just don't waste food. Goes with the flow. That could be good. Road rage. That's bad. That's again with like kind of anger issues. It's a lack of emotional control. Wants to live together within the first year before marriage. If we've been together for like a long time, like we've been dating for like 7, 8, 10+ years, that's fine, I guess. But if it's like really soon, like this is your second year, that's probably not a good thing. Doesn't make time in their schedule to see you. That goes with a lack of care, I think. Um, and just a lack of like why are you in a relationship at that point? You know, emotional outbursts. Once again, this is a lack of these can go together. Lack of emotional control. So yeah. Solves disagreements with silent treatment. That's bad. Um, that means that it's like a one way or the highway. I'm gonna just if you don't do this, I'm gonna do this all the time. Never a compromise or never like a way to solve it or try to find equal footing. It's always if I disagree with you, I'm just gonna be sad, and that's a red flag, I think. Constant self-deprecating jokes. Depends on the situation. It could be on the not the worst thing, but I don't know. I would usually avoid that actually. I'm gonna put this up a tier because having that constant like negative connotation would be kind of bad. It's a child from previous relationships. That is not for me. That means you are tied to someone else. So I don't want to be like in the midst of like having a family and being split between two parts. And I don't think the kid wants that either. So they don't ask questions about you. That also shows the lack of care. They don't. Okay, I put the other one there, so I have to put this one here. It's the same thing with doesn't make the time. They don't take any time to get to know you or anything. So that's just bad. It's just bad. Always wants to split the bill within reason. If finances are tight that month or something, always wanting to split the bill isn't the worst. But if they're being like cheap, I could also show that like, oh, I don't really think you're worth the financial like burden or anything. Especially to pay for everything. Yes, I would usually avoid that because that means they're just like a leech sucking the money. And same with needs money a lot. I would avoid those two things. Whole personality revolves around one thing. That also shows a shallow character, I think. If you don't wow, my throat is like fucked up. My bad. If they don't have anything else except for that one thing in their personality, like let's say they're like anime and their whole personality is anime. That could be something you would avoid because they have a lack of character depth. They haven't explored enough of like things, they don't have enough hobbies or passions to really like broaden themselves yet. Say you don't own them until marriage. Nobody owns each other, I think. You don't own someone even after you get married. It's a partnership, right? And if you're saying, oh, you don't own me, so I can go and see as many other people as I want, as I see fit, that could be. That actually is a red flag. They always change the plans to better suit them. That I would avoid that, definitely. This is not something you want to be like in the midst of, I think. Um, just personal preference. I think that if they're choosing their plans, actually, I'm gonna put this up a tier because that means that they come first. And if it's all the time, they never care about anyone else. Can't handle me at my worst, don't handle me at my best. Within reason, this is something I would avoid. Only because if you can't handle me at my best, it could be also like an excuse. Are they making that excuse to say, oh, okay, um, this excuses my bad actions all the time. Um, and it could be a high self-value problem too. So, they miss high school. Being intelligent is a powerful tool in this world, right? Whether or not they are intelligent doesn't always hinge on whether they go to school, but I do think having a basic understanding of certain things is important. Unsure about their sexuality, not something I would personally like to go through with, but they're unsure about their sexuality. I don't think we'd be in a relationship, right? We would say, oh, you have to discover yourself and you're not ready for that step yet. So we probably be shouldn't be in a relationship then. Constantly wants to take selfies. Depend that's fine. That's your own. Has a lot of noticeable tattoos. That's not for me personally. Um Having a lot of noticeable tattoos is a personal boundary, right? That's something that you can do. But for my preferences, I prefer not to. Too much needs the relationship to include sex. Okay, this is a red flag. Needs to, like, the relationship cannot continue without sex. That is the problem. Because anything that is like sort of for the two parties to agree on, but only one party agrees on it, that's a red flag. Okay, I put this on constant living, messy living space. I know this is a personal thing, but I can't live in like a place that's like a junkyard, you know? Why are we swimming through like nasty, like just clean up after yourself. Stop being lazy. They don't express any issues during the relationship. This is bad. Um, that means that they're very reserved and they're hiding their feelings, and it could go into like an outburst or something. And if they never express what they have, how can you guys both like, continue to grow and continue to like change and improve on something if we never talk about the problems? Has to do everything together. No, we both need our personal space, and I get that some people get kind of clingy, but at the end of the day, we're both two independent individuals, right? And both like have that partnership to work together. So can't hold eye contact. That depends also. It's not the worst thing, right? Some people have like a problem just staring at someone for like a long period of time while they talk. It's just a good habit to kind of get into. Lack of social life. Am I your only social outlet? That could be bad, I think. Not their first marriage, not for me. I would definitely not want to um be tied to someone else, or someone else. You made a commitment to someone else and then you couldn't keep it, even for whatever reason. That means you either like hastily jumped into the decision, or things didn't work out, you couldn't work it out, or you got like bored or something, or that could mean you rushed into a decision too quickly. All those things. Treat you like a therapist. I would usually avoid that. I don't mind trauma dumping. Trauma dumping's fine. But all the time, and that's the only thing you provide to them in conversation, that could be bad. Not an active listener. Okay, this is bad. Yeah. Not being an active listener means you don't really care about what they have to say. So it's a deal breaker. Okay, this is my tier list for red flag. It was a lot. I kind of went through it really fast because there were so many options. But let me know what you guys would change or have a different opinion on. I probably might change them around a little bit, but overall, this is like my general consensus. Yep. So I will see you in the next video. If you want to see more of this, be sure to subscribe. And if not, I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, bye.